And then the last one is add related post. So you have to do a lot of work to get this one to work. Did anybody get this last one to work? Yeah, it's a lot of work. Okay, so this last one, if you look at the test, add a related post. This should not override related posts that are there. So I mentioned something in the to-do that you had to add a field for related posts, right? But there was no test for that. So when you got to this point, this is where you would have to have added in order to get this to work. So that was the first step. You had to add that. And that's why I put that in the README. And then after you add that, the next thing you got to do is actually figure out how to do a mutation against that array without erasing everything. So we're going to walk through that step by step. So the first thing is let's head over to post. And if we look at the test, go back to the test. Queries.spec, it looks like it's expecting the post to have an array called similar post whose value type is like an object ID. And it's also the same thing that I put in the README. You have to make another field. There's going to be a many to many. It's going to be an array. So you would have to go do that. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. Post. So now I'm going to go down to the post field, and I'm going to add similar posts. And it's going to be an array type. And we looked at array types before. The only difference is it's belonging to an association. And the association is itself. It's a post. So what we're going to do is we're going to say its type is mongoose.schema.type.objectID. Then we're going to say the ref is going to be whatever the name of this collection is, which is post. So we'll say post. There we go. So now it's going to be an array of IDs that reference the post collection. So that's step one. And we'll head over to the spec file. And then now we can actually fill this function out where it's add similar post. So it's going to give you a post ID, and it's going to give you an array of similar post IDs to update the found post by the ID with. So that means you don't want to blow out the array of similar posts that are already there for the given post. You want to add to that array. So you don't want to set, you want to update. And by default, if you just wrote a regular query, you might set it and overwrite it, and the test is going to test for that. So if you got to this point, you might have overwritten your array and I don't know what to do here. You got to update the array. So the way you want to do that is we want to do a return post.find. Let's do a find by ID because we get an ID, so that makes sense. But we also want to update, so find by ID and update. So we'll do an update here, and we want to find by this ID. And then for the update, this is where it gets kind of tricky. What we want to do is when you're operating with arrays in Mongo and you want to do CRUD on them, you want to use the push helper property from Mongoose. It's actually Mongo, but Mongoose uses it as well to push things into that array. So I want to use $push here. So I'm going to say $push. And then from here, what you do is you have to say what field do you want to push on. In this case, I want to push on this similar post field. And from here, what you normally would do is you would just put a value here. So I would just put like an ID. But the problem is I have an array of values, and I want to push each one of those inside of this similar post array, each one of them. So if I just put the array here like this, similar posts, it might just overwrite what is there already. And the test already put some in there. So you will completely overwrite that. So instead, you want to update that. So what you do is you use the $each method here, and then you can say similar post. So basically what this is saying is I want to add a push command on the field called similar post, and I want to push in each item inside this array called similar post. So if there's 3 items in this array, they're all going to get pushed into this array.
What's the push command? What kind of command is that?
This is a Mongo native command. It's how you operate on arrays with Mongo. So if you want to add items to an array, you would have to use push. Just like the same way you would do it in JavaScript. You have to do .push. It's the same way, yeah. So yeah, .push is a native JavaScript thing with arrays. So you're pushing something to the beginning of an array, yeah. So, and then we'll do a dot exec. And then because this is an update and the test is probably going to fail, let's put a new true. All right, that's a trick we learned last time. So make sure we get the updated document, not the one before it got updated. So we'll do that. And then we'll go back and, oh, ID is not the, oh, sorry, post ID. Post ID, there we go. So we'll do that, and all the tests pass.